So if we think about the way we talk about behavior scientifically as, you perform, there's a signal, an antecedent cue, you perform. The way that performance moves the environment is feedback, reinforcers or punishers, and then you revise what you do or you repeat what you do. So what if we just changed the word mistake and replaced it with the word feedback? It's all about behaving and getting feedback about your behavior that allows you, empowers you. You have the power to repeat it that way again or change what you do. And I think that idea of it's information really helps take the edges off of that.
And one of the things that I've done with some of my staff in the past where they would just be beating themselves up about a mistake is I said, let's look at this like we would if we were training an animal. And when an animal makes a mistake, we don't beat them over the head. We in fact make every effort to say, we're just going to redirect toward a more favorable response. And we always say, when an animal makes a mistake, it's actually feedback for us. I think it was Skinner that said the learner doesn't make mistakes. The learner simply responds to what's worked for them in the past. And so consequently, when an animal makes what you call an error, does something unwanted, it's information for you. And as a trainer, being a positive reinforcement trainer, we don't dwell on it. We don't punish it. We simply find a way to learn from that and help set the environment up for success the next time. And that's what we should do for ourselves is go, okay, yes, that was a mistake. Not going to beat myself up on it. How can I figure out a way to set up the environment or set myself up so that I don't make the mistake again in the future?
Right. And we're responsible for each other. This is part of my philosophy. It doesn't paralyze me, but I'm aware, for example, I know of a zookeeper who didn't close the locks on a secondary containment, so there was no big harm that was going to be incurred. But the rules are, if you don't lock the gate twice, you're fired. And they fired this person. And when I talked about it with the director, I reminded the director that after the first time that happened, we, the leadership, should have asked, what can we do to reduce the likelihood of that happening again? Instead of just saying, be sure you never do that again, and if you do it again, you're fired. Yeah. I wanted to know, well, let's analyze the sequence of closing out for the day. Do we need to put prompts? I heard at the zoo in Albuquerque, Rhonda, they bark the locks. When they lock the gates, they pull on it and bark, woof, woof, woof. And then they go to the next lock.
Well, I bet it helps keep them.
It helps everybody double check the locks. So when you have a scientific understanding of behavior, a person's mistake, and when you quote Skinner, I have to say it just... I mean...
Just the fact that I can quote it all is pretty amazing because I don't usually quote people.
I have to say, that's just the best in the whole world. But when we really understand it and we walk that talk, we believe it, it is our frame from which we interact, then I'm responsible for your behavior in this room because we're each other's environment, And so if you've made a mistake, the first thing I think about is what in the environment moved you to behave in that way. I don't think about what inside you is stupid, idiotic, insufficient, mistake-prone. I'm right away surveying the environment. Where was there not antecedent support? Arrangements for success. Why wasn't locking selected for with bigger reinforcers? Whether the reinforcer is a flash of a light when the lock is done. There are so many great ways that we could change mistakes when we understand that they're a function of your environment. They're not about what's inside your soul,